If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, turn the volume up.
Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Zohran Mamdani is the mayor of New York City, right? He is responsible for the population of the 5 boroughs, a population that's seen a massive decline in recent years, and a population that's about to potentially see millions getting the hell out of there, including maybe the Statue of Liberty. Since 2017, when New York City was being destroyed by Comrade Billy de Blasio, another communist who disguised himself as a democratic socialist. Since 2017, New York City has lost over $13 billion in taxable income. Why? Because all the people generating that taxable income, all the people with the money, have jumped off the Titanic. Dallas is well on its way to becoming the financial capital of the world. With Zorro becoming mayor, the population of New York City could decline by another 1 million people. The point is, Zohran Mamdani has one hell of a problem, but instead of finding the extinguisher to put out the flaming ass fire, Zorro has been diagnosed with a severe case of stage 4 OMB. Archman bad! Zohran Mamdani is the new face of the modern democratic platform, which offers no solutions. They offer no new ideas. Their only objective is to divide the country and demonize the Trumper. You know, 15 years ago, Glenn Beck warned us about this. At the time, he was working at Fox News. Barry the Obama had just become president. He had promised to fundamentally transform America. Barry had promised hope and change. Yes, we can! Of course, no one knew what the hell Barry meant, and we still voted for him anyway. But every afternoon at 4 o'clock, Glenn Beck was explaining in detail what Barry meant by fundamental transformation of America. He warned that there would come a time when the mask would come off. What, Casey, was he talking about the COVID mask? No. After seeing some of the faces of these people with Antifa, most of us wish they would put the mask back on. But the mask that Glenn Beck was referring to was metaphorical. It was the mask that radical Democrats were wearing to disguise their true intentions. He warned us that one day, radical Democrats would be emboldened. The socialists, the communists, the globalists, and the Islamists, they would unite. They would come together in an attempt to destabilize the country, hoping to dismantle the capitalist system and implement tyranny. Now, this was back in 2009, 2010, 2011. Glenn Beck was ridiculed. The mainstream media labeled him a conspiracy theorist. They organized boycotts where they pressured advertisers to pull their ads from Fox News. They were essentially trying to silence Glenn Beck. He was accused of mythical racism for having the audacity to tell the truth about the chosen one, Barry. With this being 15 years ago, most people had forgotten about this warning, but Uncle KC did not forget. Last night, I watched the predictions from Glenn Beck come true, but believe it or not, I was not the one who should have been listening 15 years ago. Republicans aren't really the ones who should have listened to Glenn Beck's warning either. The people who should have been listening are the moderates in the party of the donkey. The moderates who didn't want to believe it. The moderates who were too terrified to get off the donkey to fight the radicals who were poking the ass's ass. Because last night, the Democratic Party that we grew up with, the party of JFK, the party of Bill Clinton, last night, that Democratic Party officially died. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Later today on the second channel, going to be talking about the ongoing trouble in the NBA. Because of their complacency, the NBA has allowed Major League Baseball to surpass them in popularity. There are no more excuses to be made. In the span of about 10 years, the weak leadership from Adam Silver has absolutely destroyed what David Stern spent his life building. If you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. While we were sleeping last night, the Democrats were exchanging woke hugs and passionately bruising their caboose. We are so back! We're riding a blue wave! Celebrate the butt bongo! My inside sources are telling me that there is a shortage of Preparation H in New York City this morning. Thousands of people woke up with a severe woke hangover. Me personally, I don't understand the celebration for a couple of reasons. Number one, there were no upsets last night. There was nothing surprising about these results. Democrats won in New York City and New Jersey. Democrats always win in these two shitholes. That's why they are shitholes. They've elected Democrats for so long that normal people are no longer living there to combat the fungus. It's the modern day equivalent of white flight. Show me a Democrat city or a Democrat state, and I'll show you a massive decline of normal people living there. The other reason I don't understand the celebration is because Democrats are celebrating their own demise. The media is framing this as a big loss for the Trumper, but the reality is there were two losers last night. Obviously, the remaining citizens in the soon-to-be Islamic Republic of New York City lost. I saw a poll last night. I think it was from Fox News. 70% of the people in New York do not identify as democratic socialists. Well, Casey, that doesn't make sense. How did Zorro get elected? He got elected because the Democratic Party is dead. Socialism always rises the same way, a complete lack of education combined with a lack of alternative options. New York City is the perfect breeding ground for socialism. Too expensive to live there, and high-paying jobs are scarce because corporations are getting the hell out of there. To make matters worse, Democrats did not provide voters with an alternative option. If you put Josh Shapiro, John Fetterman, if you put a moderate Democrat on the ticket, Zohran Mamdani would be unknown. Instead, who did the Democrats offer? Andy Cuomo. In their infinite arrogance, they thought they could win New York City by default because they always vote Democrat. They thought they could run another doofus and people would automatically vote for him. Obviously, they thought wrong. Now, the Democrats are screwed, at least in the short term, because now the face of your party is Zohran Mamdani and AOC LGBT. The masks have officially come off, and you're now the party of socialism. According to an NBC News poll, 18% of the country has a positive view of socialism. Now, that number should be 0% because socialism does not work. There's not a socialist country in the world that is thriving. Over the next 12 months, I think you're going to see the polish melt off the Mamdani turd. Credit where credit is due. Zohran Mamdani was an effective candidate, but he's not going to be an effective mayor, mainly because he's got no idea what the hell he's doing. It's easy to get people on your side when you're pushing radical ideas. Free bus, free train, free money when I make it rain, free healthcare, free rent, free look at the moon when I get bent. It's easy to talk about these radical ideas when you're unchecked on the campaign trail. Hell of a lot more difficult to make it reality. Even more difficult to make it reality when the people with the money you wanted to confiscate to fund these programs are no longer living in the city. Not to mention the fact that Zohran Mamdani doesn't make these decisions. On the campaign trail, Zorro is making promises that he can't deliver. Most of the funding and most of these decisions, they're made at the state level. They're made by the governor. When this happens, the polish will melt off the turd, and New York City will turn against Zohran Mamdani, who will be waiting next November to clean up the problem, who will be waiting to combat the communism that Zorro wants to implement. Elise Stefanki, who already has a lead over Kathy Hochul in the governor's race for New York. I would be willing to bet Kathy Hochul turns against Zorro too. Otherwise, she's not going to win. You know, I woke up this morning to my wife in a little bit of a panic. I noticed her getting worried last night as we were watching the results, so I turned the TV to the NBA game on NBC, hoping that would get her mind off of it. Of course, it didn't. She stayed up all night looking through social media, worrying about the state of the country. In 50 years, Muslims will take over America. The country will decline because a communist is the mayor of New York City. You know, I told her the same thing Aaron Rodgers told Packers fans years ago. RELAX. Zohran Mamdani has absolutely no impact on your life. The decisions made in the People's Republic of California, no impact on your life, unless, of course, you're living there. You got to be very careful listening to the mainstream media because they make their money by you living in fear. They make their money by convincing you the world is collapsing. Like I tell you guys all the time, there is no money in friendship. There is no money in telling you that everything is going to be fine. If everything is fine, there's no need for you to keep watching them. Politics is no different than any other show you watch on TV. It's designed to keep your attention. It's designed to make you emotionally invested into choosing a side. The Nation of Islam rose to prominence in the 1950s, 1960s. America survived. We had 4 years of disaster under Jim Carter. America survived. Georgie Bush got us into endless wars. America survived. According to the woke media, Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. America survived. John Biden was asleep in the Oval Office for the better part of 4 years. America survived. So I think we can survive a democratic socialist, a communist, as the mayor of New York City. Why? Because we already survived one. His name was Bill de Blasio. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.